Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Couple of quick thank yous before I go any further. First of all, to everybody that sent me well-wishing messages concerning my poorly old mum. Thanks ever so much for that. Much appreciated. Good to know that you're all thinking of me, so I do appreciate that. And the second one is to everybody that made it through that 2-hour video that I did last week. Frankly, I'm amazed anybody made it through it. I haven't even watched the whole thing yet. I actually made it, obviously, but I've certainly not watched the whole thing back. I normally do, but I've not had the chance to do it with that one. The astonishing thing is, it's actually had 96 views. Now, I've only got 71 subscribers. So somewhere along the line, 25 people or viewers have had a look at it. Now, whether they've watched the whole thing or not, I don't know. I daren't really go into the analytics side of it after what Callie said the other week about looking at it and finding out that a lot of people only made it through a couple of minutes of the video, then turned off. I'm not really sure I want to know that, so I'm going to avoid that. I'm just going to take it on face value and just accept the fact that somewhere along the line, 25 people have bumped into my channel. They've not subscribed. Hopefully they will do at some point if they see a little more of what we're doing here. But fingers crossed. But yeah, that was a really good result for me. 96 views. I couldn't believe it, but I'm well chuffed with it. So hopefully onwards and upwards with that. Now, on to the usual stuff. We'll start with Dave Oliver. Your Friday the 13th reviews, mate. Absolutely loving them. I'll start with this. Hey, Dave, how is it all going? He's sitting there thinking, piss-taking twat, you wait till next time. Go on, you can do it, Dave, if you want to. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I don't mind. Oh, God, I've got it all on notes here. Let's see now. First of all, cheers for the shout out. Much appreciated. I love getting shout outs. I don't get them very often, but I do enjoy them. I love talking about your videos. It's me basically reliving watching them again, which I haven't seen any of them for a while, for a short while now. And I do need to get back into them. But I like sort of picking your reviews apart and and telling you what I think of them. So yeah. Let's see, what have I got here? Jumping Christmas shit. I haven't got a bleeding clue what that means. I have not got a clue. I've never heard that one before. I don't remember hearing that one in the film either, but it's obviously in there somewhere, so I need to take a look at that. Let's see. So part 4 is your second favourite. I would say my second favourite would have to be part 2. My all-time favourite, as I've said many, many times before, is part 1. Merely because of the sheer effect it had on me the first time I actually saw it at Burton Odeon. It was a shocker. But yeah, my second favourite would have to be part 2. I'm very curious now to know what your favourite one is going to be. I'm going to stick with my prediction of Jason Lives part 6. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that one. I'd be very surprised personally if it was any of the ones that come after 6. But I could be wrong, we shall see. As for the worst ones, you've got me curious about that one now. Your least favourite ones. I would say my least favourite of all of them was probably part 3. There was just something about it that didn't click with me at all. I have seen it and I will watch it again, no doubt. But if I had to pick one that, you know, if somebody says, right, there's one of these movies, you can never watch it again, I would probably pick part 3. Even though it was in 3D, and I'm sure it looked stunning with 3D, with that line prop coming out of the screen. I think 3D has progressed a little bit since those days. But yeah, I would say part 3 is probably my least favourite. As for Ted and Jimmy, they're like an old married couple, aren't they? Just constantly bickering. And Crispin Glover, total legend. I mean, I watched him last week in Back to the Future. Superb. I remember him in the original Charlie's Angels movie. There's just something about him. He's completely nuts, isn't he? He's not all there. He's a smashing actor. He really is, and he certainly was back then. But his dancing, you got to see it to believe it. If you've never seen it, and if any of you have not watched Friday the 13th Part 4, watch it purely for Crispin Glover's dancing sequence, because it is just out of this world. You've never seen anything quite like it, I tell you now. I do agree with you on the fact that it's really, really well acted. Now, I don't know whether it's just me with this, but I find that there's a lot of snobbery surrounding horror films, horror movies, especially the acting side of it. I watch a lot of them, and I think this is really, really well done. You know, I mean, it's not Oscar worthy, obviously, but they are really well done. Obviously, the Friday the 13th films, the Halloween movies, a lot of odd ones like Prom Night, Terror Train, uh, My Bloody Valentine was brilliant. But I think there's a lot of people that want, especially critics, they don't seem to like horror movies for some reason, and I don't know why. And a lot of them are, as I say, I agree with you, very, very well acted for what they are. And Friday the 13th Part 4 is a cracking example of that. Now, this is the one with Corey Feldman in, am I right, as Tommy Jarvis? I'm sure I'm right on that one. But yeah, that's what I always find. So I still think your favourite is going to be Part 6. You can definitely tell in Part 4 that Tom Savini returned. It's basically got his stamp all over it with the makeup effects. And as you say, with that machete through the head, that is Tom Savini through and through. Did you do any after that? I can't remember. But that was Part 4. Then you reviewed Part 5 a couple of days later. I completely missed the fact, and I've seen this movie quite a few times, completely missed the fact that Jason is actually dead. He was hacked to bits and cremated. I don't remember hearing about the cremation bit. I really do need to watch these again. But this is why I like your videos. You pick up on things that I don't even notice. Fans despised it. I see, I'd never heard that either. I quite enjoyed it. I just took it on, again, on face value. It never occurred to me that obviously Jason wasn't the killer, and it certainly never bothered me. But yeah, it never picked up on that. It's like the humour, you were on about the humour in it. Completely went over my head, apart from the old bird and her son, who was, they were just, as you say, absolutely brilliant. They were the funniest part of it, absolutely. And that's my final word. You'll know what that is. Let's see, what have I got here? I've got it all written down on notes because I like to keep things going. Let's see, the death scenes, superb. And I agree with you, the strap across the eyes was horrible, absolutely horrible. Yeah, that's probably the worst one in it. Let's see, lowest rated. Oh, good, done that one. I would like to make a suggestion. When you've done with the Friday the 13th movies, here's just a suggestion for you. The next franchise, here's the dog going crazy now. Somebody's just come in next door. Can you hear this? Every time that geezer that lives next door slams his door, the dog goes fucking nuts. She's going to come back in now. The next one I think you should go for, personally, I would love to see you do Phantasm. And I'll tell you for why. I saw the trailer for the original on Shudder a few nights back and thought, I really need to rewatch that one, because I remember seeing that one when it first came out around about 1979. It might have been before that, actually. Could have been 77. I need to look into that. Really enjoyed it. Didn't get it, but loved it. Now, apparently there are another 4 or 5 sequels to that. Phantasm 2 and 3. There's one called Ravager. And I thought I would love to see these movies. So, just a suggestion, but how do you feel about doing Phantasm next? And I might even join you on that one, and actually watch them at the same time as you, and we can just compare notes on them, pretty much like we're doing now, actually. But yeah, that would be my suggestion for your next franchise. I would say Phantasm, purely because I haven't seen anyone but the original. So let me know how you feel about that. Right, that's Dave sorted out for this week. Who've we got next? Oh, random guy. Guy. Planet of the Apes. What a movie. What an absolute classic movie. Why the black and white guy? Are you going all Mark Commode and arty on me? Very European. Enjoyed the video, mate. Yeah, Planet of the Apes. You absolutely can't go wrong with it. I saw this on a double bill with Escape to the Planet of the Apes, the ones where they came to Earth in 1972. I loved it, and I always remember getting to the Odeon early, and we were let in, and I actually saw the ending of Planet of the Apes before I'd actually seen the movie, which kind of ruined the whole thing for me. So I'd have only have been about, what, 10, 11 at the time. Here she comes back in. Can you hear a bell going? There you go. Yeah, so it kind of ruined the ending for me because I actually saw the ending before I saw the actual movie. But I've seen the original Planet of the Apes so many times. It is one that I will always put on. If I can't find anything else to watch that I really fancy, I will always put Planet of the Apes on, and it never ever gets boring, especially the first half hour. Absolutely love it. My favourite quote, I mean, it spawned a TV series as well, don't forget, which I started watching a few weeks ago, but only got about, what, half an hour into the first episode and I fell asleep. So I need to get back into that. But I do remember watching that the first time round when it was on ITV. That would have been about 1974. And the series itself was not bad. Not bad at all. And it was, you may be surprised to know, it was based on a book called Monkey Planet by Pierre Boulle. There you go. That's my contribution to your review. It's based on a book, a novel. So as for the favourite quote, you went for the obvious one. Get your, what was it? Get your smelly hands off me, you bleeding smelly minky, or something like that. I have gone for one within the first 10 minutes when they get out of the spacecraft that has just sunk. They're basically watching it sink, and they're going, gone. And Charlton Heston says, "Okay, we're here to stay." That, for some strange reason, is my favourite quote from Planet of the Apes. It's so final and so to the point. You know what I mean? No talk of escape or getting off the planet or whatever. Just, that's it. We are here to stay. And I loved that. Absolutely loved it. So that's my favourite quote from it. But yeah, cracking video, guy. Loving the black and white, mate. What we got next week, I'm looking forward to seeing what your next one is. Keep them coming, please keep them coming, because I'm enjoying them. So that's Guy done. Who we got next? Oh, Steve McCartney. Really enjoyed your Criterion video this week, mate. Well done, absolutely, on 300 subscribers. I think it was 3. Well done, mate. I've yet to aspire to those heights, but I'm working on it. I was interested in some of your titles, without a doubt. The US releases, Blowout, again, saw that many years ago, about 1981. Loved it. John Travolta. The other one I was intrigued by, and I'd never heard of this, Le Corbeau. Henri Georges Clouzot movie. Oh, excuse me, voice is going. Henri Georges Clouzot, director of Wages of Fear, which I haven't seen yet, but I've got, and Diabolique, which I've seen many times and absolutely adore. Now, I've never heard of Le Corbeau, but I intend on grabbing a copy of that. I looked on Amazon yesterday and it is still available, so I'm going to order myself a copy of that and see what I think. I was just intrigued by what you said about it. And as for the UK releases, The Great Dictator, I would not mind that at all. Charlie Chaplin, never seen it, I always wanted to. I know it came out to sort of howls of protest because it was to do with Adolf Hitler and Nazism and all that sort of thing. The one I really want to see is Hearts and Minds, the Vietnam documentary that you were talking about. That sounds brilliant. Again, never heard of it, but I know it's out in a couple of weeks, thanks to you. So I almost certainly will be grabbing a copy of that, and possibly The Sound of Metal, the Riz Ahmed film. Not really my kind of thing, but again, I'm intrigued by the way you talked about it, so that's one that I wouldn't mind seeing. And also Book and the Preacher, directed by Sidney Poitier. I enjoyed Sidney Poitier so much in To Sir With Love. I need to check out In the Heat of the Night because I keep hearing good things about that one, and also Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. But Book and the Preacher sounds very intriguing, so that's one I absolutely would not mind seeing. But yeah, really enjoyed that video this week, mate. Looking forward to the next Criterion, and any other ones that you come out with. As I say, well done on 300 subscribers. That's a great milestone. That, so cracking stuff. Jason, we come on to you now then. The remake thread, absolutely loving it, mate. There are some busting titles on there. True Grit. I didn't think I'd like the remake, which was Jeff Bridges, until I saw the trailer for it, and that voice of his in that. My God, it's straight from hell, isn't it? Love the John Wayne version with Kim Darby. Absolutely brilliant. Seen it many times in my younger days. It was a staple on Sunday afternoons, if I remember right. Sunday afternoon westerns. But really enjoyed the remake as well, which is a rare one. Assault on Precinct 13. Oh God, don't know. I love the original, and what made it for me was the guns with the silencers. It was just the coolest thing ever. And the soundtrack, the main title theme, you can't mistake that music for anybody else than John Carpenter. But the movie itself is just a total classic, and anybody out there that hasn't seen the original Assault on Precinct 13 from 1976, grab a copy. As for the remake, I haven't seen it. I've got hold of it, and I will have a look at it. But to be honest, I am not holding out much hope, despite the fact that Ethan Hawke is in it and there's quite a few other famous people in it. I don't think it's going to do it for me, but we shall see. Dredd. Saw Judge Dredd, the Stallone version, many years ago. Thought it was all right, nothing spectacular. I've not seen Dredd, which I presume is a much darker, more violent affair. But again, I'm intrigued. I wouldn't mind a look at them. I remember I used to read 2000 AD as a kid. And I do remember Judge Dredd more than... I can't remember any of the other comic strips that were in there, but I do remember Judge Dredd. I used to love it. What else we got? Point Break. Pointless, more like. I don't know. I've not seen the remake, so I can't comment on it. Point Break, the original, I've seen it a couple of times, many years ago. A group of guys that I used to work with loved this movie, and they persuaded me to watch it, and I thought it was all right. It wasn't bad. It wasn't brilliant to me, but it was all right. But as for Point Break, the remake, why do it? To me, it's just too soon after the original. But I mean, you all say it's not really worth bothering with, so I'm not going to break down any doors to grab a look at that one. The Firm, Gary Oldman. I think I've seen it, but I'm not sure. I can only assume that The Firm, the remake, is going to be something akin to a Danny Dyer football hooligan type thing. Am I about right on that? I do need to catch up with the original Firm, Gary Oldman. I'm sure I've seen it. I'm sure I remember enjoying it. But as for the remake, I don't know. I'd probably give it a go, just see what happens. Manhunter. Saw this one a long time back. Loved it. Seen it a couple of times. Loved it. The only sequel I've seen to... in fact, I haven't seen any of the sequels. I've seen Silence of the Lambs, but I've not seen Hannibal, Red Dragon, or whatever the others were. Not seen any of those. So again, that's a Sequelophobia thing at some point. Cape Fear. Oh, yeah. I saw the original Gregory Peck version, the black and white, and loved it. I thought it was as sinister as hell. The Robert De Niro one, I started watching it. It was quite recently, actually. And I got as far as that poor girl getting her arm broken. And I thought, oh, this is too intense for me. So I turned it off. But I know I do need to give it another go. Robert De Niro as Max Cady. Pure evil. Pure evil. So yeah, I do need to give that one another go. But I'm in no hurry. I suppose I could skip past the broken arm bit. You also mentioned the Red Carpet Cinema. Now, I've been on their website. It looks a beautiful place. It looks very old style cinema going. What you said was, wouldn't it be a wonderful idea if I visited it and then talked about it, or maybe even did a review from inside, if they would let me do it, as in this kind of thing that I'm doing now, but from inside the foyer or something like that. I mean, it's going to happen at some point. I feel very drawn to this place just by the pure look of it. and the selection of movies that they show there. They do a lot of art house stuff, a lot of classic movies, and I can definitely see myself going in there. And they also do morning showings, AM, and that's even better. So yes, the next time I'm on holiday from work and I've got a few days to spare, I may just take a trip over there. It's not going to be before that. I've obviously got too much else going on at the moment to do it, but I think that's a brilliant idea of doing a review of the red carpet cinema. I'd definitely be up for doing that, especially if the staff would allow me to, point a camcorder at myself. I'm not talking about interviewing the staff or anything like that. I'm just on about sitting down in the foyer and just, panning around and showing you what's in there, and then just talking about the experience that I've just had, cinema going. But yeah, I'm definitely up for that if they'll let me do it. So we'll come back to that one. Cobra Kai. You're not impressed, are you? I've watched the first season and absolutely loved it. And this is coming from somebody that hadn't seen the original Karate Kid films until probably 3 months ago. That was the first time I'd seen any of them. And then I watched Cobra Kai, the first season, and absolutely loved it. The only thing I didn't get was the nostalgia hit that I would have had I seen the original Karate Kid movies back in the 80s. That's the only thing I was missing. But as a series, I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait to get into season 2. I know the kids drove you mad in it. They do me as well, but I sort of stuck with that. But yeah, and that Jaws poster, dude, how big is it? What is size AO? Put a picture of you standing next to it. I just want to know, because I would love one of those. Where did you get it from? Right, that's Jason sorted. What have we got here? Oh, a few, well, not news items, just a couple of bits that I've read about. Saturday Night Fever is getting a 4K release in the US. Now, I've been reliably informed, and I've said this before, that 4K discs are region free, which is brilliant. But this has also got, I believe, a couple of Blu-ray discs included with it. Now, they won't be region free, so I'm a little bit torn as to whether to bite the bullet and buy that one, knowing that probably all the special features have been on the ones that I've already got, or whether to hold on for a UK release, which is almost certainly going to come out over here. It's bound to. Classic movie like that. But to me, that would be perfect for a double bill with Close Encounters. I mean, Close Encounters and Saturday Night Fever typified 1977 for me. It was just the most amazing year, and they were the two, to me, most amazing movies of that year. So I would love to watch those back to back in 4K on my new setup when I get it, which shouldn't be too long now with a bit of luck. Beverly Hills Cop 4. There was a picture on this week, I think I posted it, of Judge Reinhold and John Ashton on set. My God, aren't they looking old? You forget, don't you, that the original Beverly Hills Cop is, 84, 94, you're talking nearly 40 years ago. That's a long time. You forget, you see, because you watch them and you automatically think they're just going to look pretty much the same, and they don't. They are looking a little bit worn, a little bit frizzled around the edges now, but we all age, I suppose, don't we? But Jason Kerr, you didn't sound too enamoured with the thought of Beverly Hills Cop 4. I'm sort of on the fence with it. I mean, I saw a picture of Eddie Murphy recently, and he's looking a little worn around the edges as well. So how exactly it's going to work? I think I said a few weeks ago that the reason I thought the original Beverly Hills Cop worked was because Eddie Murphy was this youthful, wisecracking smartass, but he's not youthful anymore. And whether he's a wisecracking smartass is another matter, but we'll see what happens when it comes out. We ain't got long to wait, because I think it's dropping on Netflix next year, so that's going to be. I shall certainly have a look at it, but I'm definitely sitting on the fence as to what I'm going to think of that one. Just keeping an eye on the time. Kevin Bacon has been touted as possibly playing Freddy Krueger at some point. I can see that. He's done some real good horror movies. I can't name any of them. But he's done some crackers over the years, and I honestly think I can almost imagine playing Freddy Krueger, so I'd be quite excited if they announced that he was going to be starring in a remake of Elm Street. That would definitely be worth a look. Clerks 3, the Kevin Smith movie, the new one, getting cracking reviews. I really, really can't wait to see this. I do need to watch Clerks again, and I do need to watch Clerks 2, which I haven't seen. But again, yeah, really looking forward to that, and to getting a look at some more of Kevin Smith's work at some point. The Blu-ray release of Ghostwatch is due, let's see, sometime in October, I think. I've been hovering over the buy it now button for weeks on this. My only thing is that it hasn't got the documentary Behind the Curtains included on it because they couldn't get the rights to it. I've been after this for ages. It was released probably about 10 years ago, and it is incredibly difficult to get hold of it. You can't download it, you can't buy it. There are very few copies for sale on eBay, if any. It's just as rare as hen's teeth, and I would really love to see it. And I was hoping when I saw that, I thought, here we go, it's going to... Oh, no, it's not. It's not one of the special features. So that's my only thing. That's the only reason I'm holding back on it, because I've actually got it on DVD. But apparently it's got some useful sort of documentaries and special features on it. So I can see me getting it, being the completist that I am. What have I got here? Oh, there was a quote. Oh, here we go. The director of Halloween Ends was asked, is this the end of Michael Myers? And he basically said, not really. He says, I can see Halloween coming back in some form or other. There's your answer. I knew it. I bloody well knew it. So it's not the end of Michael Myers at all. It's the end, well, it's the end of Halloween, but it will be back at some point, he thinks, in some form or another. So we definitely, I don't think we've seen the end of Halloween at all. But we'll see how we go. Right, reviews, and I'm going to rattle through these very, very quickly because I'm coming up to 27 minutes. The Railway Children return. Absolutely loved it. Obviously, it's a kind of a direct sequel to the original 1970 classic with Jenny Agutter. Jenny Agutter returns in this as Bobby. She stars alongside Sheridan Smith, who plays a school teacher. It's just a good family film. It's got a slightly more adult edge to it than the original had, but I really, really enjoyed it. It's a film you can sit in front of the family without fear of what you're going to see. I just thought it was really good. And the second you see Jenny Agutter and you hear the original theme from the original Railway Children playing over her walking down the hill, you know you're in safe hands and you're in for a decent film. It's not, obviously, I don't think, as good as the original, but it never was going to be, and I don't think it ever tries to be. It's just a nice standalone work, a decent sequel. I would watch it again, absolutely. Invaders from Mars, 1953, classic sci-fi, very, very reminiscent of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I really enjoyed this. It's got a creepy atmosphere to it. It's got a creepy soundtrack to it. Very The Day the Earth Stood Still type thing. But this is one of my colleagues, Donna. She remembers this from years ago, and it creeped her out somewhat rotten. I can see why, definitely. But I really, really enjoyed that one, and it's put me in the mood to watch a lot more of these 50s sci-fi. I love these monster movies. The Day the Earth Stood Still, the Deadly Mantis, all that sort of thing, Tarantula, all that. Love all that. So yeah, Invaders from Mars, that's a definite yes from me. And I'm going to make this really quick. Back to the Future. Watched it for the second time. I did see it probably a couple of years ago. Never really thought that much of it. I really, really enjoyed it this time round a lot more. As I said, I think on the last video, a classic slice of 80s heaven. Michael J. Fox is absolutely superb in it. Christopher Lloyd as Emmett Brown, oh, brilliant. Manic as hell, superb. It's just one of those movies, and I know for a fact I am going to be watching this one again. Without a, there you go. I keep saying without a doubt. I'm doing it again. Do me a favour. Next time I say without a doubt on a video, just pull me up on it, will you? Because the sooner I get out of the habit of saying that, because I'm doing everybody's head in with it, I'm doing my own head in with it. So, yeah, Back to the Future, absolutely brilliant. My only regret, as it is with all of these 80s classics, is that it took me that long to actually catch up with it. But I'm on to part two very, very shortly. So I'll be talking about that. And back to Random Guy, we're talking about Planet of the Apes. That's the set that I've got. Let's put this cup down. Now that contains all 5 of the original movies. Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Conquest of, and Battle for. And I've watched all of these probably about a year ago and loved them. And I'm about due to watch them all again. So that's my set. Right, that's the end of part 1. I'll be back with some more stuff very, very shortly. It'll actually be a few seconds for you. So thanks for joining me for this bit, and I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Hi guys, welcome back to part 2. Hopefully, if I can get this camcorder sorted out, this brand new camcorder that I bought a few weeks ago that's barely even been out of the box, I'll be able to dispense with this part 1 and part 2 nonsense, and I can just do the whole thing in one go. But saying that, it does give me a bit of a chance to compose myself before the second half, so I may just keep it exactly the same, but we'll see. Now, I'm doing Gerwin Fox Roberts top 10 this week. I know Gerwin as Gene. We've worked together for quite a few years. Smashing geezer. He's got an absolutely cracking taste in movies, as you're about to find out. I've got his top 10 in front of me now. I don't think these are in any particular order, so I'm just basically going to read them out as he sent them to me. So I'll do as a 10 to 1 sort of thing, but I don't think it really matters. Let me just make sure I've actually got 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, I have got 10. Just making sure. Number 10, Zulu. Absolutely classic movie. Michael Caine, Stanley Baker. Basically about the Battle of Rorke's Drift in Africa. I used to work with a guy, or work for a guy, many years ago, who absolutely loved this film. It was his favourite movie ever. It was a huge fan of basically sort of military figures, that kind of thing. He'd read a lot of Churchill's books, seen a lot of movies about Churchill, and this was his actual this was his favourite movie ever. He's seen this countless times. I've seen this 3 or 4 times and love it every time I watch it. Cracking movie. That's Zulu. That was about 1963. I think directed by Cy Enfield, if I remember right. It was Michael Caine's big debut. He'd made a few movies previously for smaller studios. I think he started with a movie called A Hill in Korea, and he also made a few others, but this was his big break. This is what kicked it all off, and he went on to bigger success, obviously, with Alfie and the Harry Palmer movies straight sort of shortly after that. So next one we've got is Braveheart. This has made it onto 2 or 3 lists, and I know this is Chris Hukin's favourite movie ever. He loves this. I've only seen it once, and it was a long, long time ago. I do remember being struck at how brilliant it was, how violent it was. Obviously, for those of you that don't know, it's the story of William Wallace. I know very little about William Wallace. I can't remember much about the movie. It is one that I do need to revisit at some point, but that's made it onto at least 2 lists so far. So yeah, that's one I need to have another look at. The next one, Star Wars, and he's just put all of them. So that's just one choice. The ones I've seen are, let me see, I've seen the original, obviously, from 1977, which I saw at the cinema when it first came out. Absolutely knocked me sideways, absolutely brilliant. I've seen The Empire Strikes Back, again, that was at the cinema, that would have been about 1980, and Return of the Jedi in 83. The prequels I've seen, have I seen 2 or 3 of them? Can't remember. I've definitely seen Phantom Menace. I'm not sure about the other 2, can't remember. I have got a box set of all 6 of those, as in the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and I've also got all 3 of the final ones, which were The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and the one whose title I can never ever remember. But I've not seen any of those apart from The Force Awakens. I believe I saw that one a while ago. But they are absolutely cracking movies. We love the Star Wars films. And I think Jason's a fan of them. I don't think you like them at all, do you? Next one, Labyrinth. Now this has been on a couple of people's lists as well. Again, I saw this a long time ago. I think I actually watched this on VHS. That shows how long ago it was. I remember it used to be very popular when I worked at the video library in Stapenall. It was very popular. It was nearly always out, even though by the time I got to working in there, it had been out sort of a year, possibly two. But it was one of the most popular movies. I did have a look at it, and I do need to watch it again. So yeah, that's another one that I need to re-catch up with. Next one, absolute classic, Forrest Gump. It doesn't get much better than this. Tom Hanks was absolutely superb in this. This is one I've seen 2 or 3 times, and I enjoy it every time I watch it. It's just a different film. It's something completely original. And in this world of sequels and prequels and reboots and rehashes, it's just nice every now and then to watch something that isn't a follow-on from something, or a prequel to something, or a remake, or whatever. And you couldn't get much better than this. It's just a superb film. It's a long movie, but well worth watching if you've not seen it. From about 94, I believe, that one. The next one, Good Morning Vietnam. Never get bored of this. Robin Williams at his absolute manic best. As Adrian Cronar, the DJ that had a radio show which was played all over Vietnam. It was very off the wall, very controversial, was always in trouble with the authorities. The film itself was just brilliant. So yeah, that's one I can absolutely go along with. Next one, Last of the Mohicans. I've never seen this, never watched it. I know Daniel Day-Lewis is in it. I know it's a historical thing, going back to, it goes way before the Old West. It's the classic as the New World, I believe. And it's one that I've always meant to watch, but I do remember reading many years ago that it is really violent for what it is. So that's one that I do need to watch at some point, so I will be taking that one in. Next one, Oliver. Seen this one so many times I've lost count. I love Oliver. The songs, the performances, it is just, to me, it is the best, the quintessential version of the Oliver Twist story. I don't think it's ever been bettered, unless you count the very early version directed by David Lean, the black and white version. I've seen that once, and that was really superb. But if you're looking for a good old sort of musical movie, this was made about 1968. Mark Lester and Jack Wilde, and obviously who played Fagin? Oh God, I am terrible with this. I should write this stuff down. Oliver Reed as Bill Sikes, the scariest Bill Sikes ever committed to film. Ron Moody played Fagin. That just came back to me. But yeah, to me, this is my favourite version of the Oliver Twist story, and I have seen it many times, and I will watch it many more times. And it does look glorious on Blu-ray. If you're thinking of getting a copy, it looks absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I love Oliver. Seen it a few times, and I will definitely be watching it quite a few more. Patch Adams. I know nothing about this one either. This is Robin Williams. I can see the DVD sleeve now. He's in a doctor's coat and he's wearing a funny nose. But I know nothing about this. So this could be one that I will take from this list and add to my list of movies to watch from other people's top 10s that I've not actually seen. It's either going to be that one or Last of the Mohicans. So which do you guys think I should go for? Or should I go for both of them? Are they both good? But Patch Adams, know nothing about it, but if it's got Robin Williams in, it's going to be good. It's going to be at least watchable. So let me know on that one. Which do you want me to go for? Last of the Mohicans or Patch Adams, or both? Finally, Scarface. never get bored of this one. Obviously, I've got him behind me, Mr. Pacino, as Tony, not Monero. Monero's Saturday Night Fever, isn't it? Tony, the hell's his last name? I really am going to have to start writing these bloody things down. Tony, does it say on there? Tony Montana. Tony Montana. Brilliant film. 1983. I think I've said before that it never ceases to amaze me how many young people that weren't around in 1983 when this first came out have seen this and love this movie. There were rumours going around at some point that they were going to remake it. I don't know how far that actually got. I think they got into pre-production stage. Then there was another rumour going around that the rap community had requested, because basically the movie was very, very popular within those circles, and they'd made calls to Brian De Palma, the director, to recut the film and re-release it with a rap soundtrack. No, you don't mess with something like that, and you certainly don't put a bloody rap soundtrack on it. It would completely ruin it, to me anyway. I mean, everybody knows my views on rap music. It just wouldn't, I can't, no, it's just wrong. The more I think about it, the more I think, but he has turned them down. Brian De Palma has basically told him, no, forget it, I ain't doing that. So hats off to him for doing that. But Scarface, absolutely brilliant. Again, never get bored of watching it, seen it quite a few times. Violent as hell. The chainsaw in the shower sequence, case in point. Really, really good film though, and again that's made it onto 2 or 3 lists, I believe. And that's it. That's Gene's top 10. As I say, which one should I take from this? It's either going to be Last of the Mohicans, Patch Adams, or do you want me to jot them both down? Because I have actually got them written down. Well, here we go. That's all the ones that I've got so far. And just to very quickly recap, which I think I did on last week's video, but just in case I forgot that, the way that I actually forgot to put any reviews on there. Let's see, Will's list, Free State of Jones, I took off that one. Chris, I've taken Interstellar from that one, God help me. Christopher Nolan is just the guy that confuses me more than anyone. His movies are absolutely brilliant, don't get me wrong, but Inception, I didn't get it. It just did nothing for me. It was one of those, I think I was okay when it was a dream within a dream, and then it started to be a dream within a dream within a dream, and I just completely lost me. So maybe that's another one that I need to take a look at, but I'm in no hurry to mash my brain with that one again. Off Guy's list, I've gone for The Big Lebowski, again because I've never seen it, and he swears by it, he loves that movie. On Simon's list, Simon DeRose, I've gone for The Other Guys, which I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. But I did watch the trailer for it a few days back and thought, that actually looks really good. So I'm going to go for that one. Scott the movie critic, I've gone for Hacksaw Ridge, which is a movie he loves. Never seen it, but everybody that I've spoken to about Hacksaw Ridge swears by it and tells me that it is absolutely brilliant. I've spoken to a lot of people at work about it, and they all say you've got to watch Hacksaw Ridge, so that's that one. So to add to that list, I either need Last of the Mohicans, Patch Adams, or both. So let me know which one you want me to go for on that. Right, reviews. Before I go any further and before I forget to do it again, what have I been watching? We'll start off with a movie called Dashcam. Now, I love found footage movies. I absolutely adore them. I don't think there's any medium that unnerves me or scares me more than watching found footage, because they basically drop you right into the middle of the action to the point where you are watching these people. They work on a gut level with me. They really do. Right from, I'm going back to the Blair Witch Project, which got into my head and it would not go for weeks afterwards. I've heard a lot of people didn't like the Blair Witch Project. They thought it was absolute rubbish. It had one hell of a build-up, including a website that they built, basically making it look like the case was actually real. Now, this is before the internet had properly taken off, so it was all brand new. You've probably got a million of these websites out there now, but back then, the Blair Witch Project website, which is probably still out there, looked, for all intents and purposes, like the real thing. Now, there are a lot of found footage movies out there, a lot of them, and I love them. I never get bored of them. Dashcam is the exception. It concerns a live stream girl called somebody Hardy, Amy Hardy or whatever. She does a live stream from her car driving around the city, and people, you got little remarks coming up at the side of the screen, and she makes raps out of them and sings them. Total turn off before we even get started with it. But this movie did absolutely nothing for me. There isn't a single likeable character in this. She is obnoxious, self-obsessed. She's a horrible, nasty person. And all the awful things that happen to her, you just cannot bring yourself to feel sorry for her. Within 5 minutes, she'd irritated the hell out of me. And I just thought, you know, whatever happens to you from here going in, love, you deserve it. I don't care. But to me, on Dashcam, there was just too much going on. The beauty of found footage films is normally they have a slow build-up, and then they're basically making you feel nervous over a space of about, what, the first hour before everything explodes. This explodes within 15 minutes of the movie starting, and it is just relentless. It is one thing after another. It's very violent. It's very loud. It did absolutely nothing for me. Of all the found footage movies I've seen, this is probably the worst. And I think I mentioned last week that I was going to start a new thread called Don't Say I Didn't Warn You, which is me watching movies that people have said are crap or rubbish, but I think, hang on a minute, I'll give it a go. I believe, Jason, you talked about Dashcam quite a few weeks ago, and I think you did try to tell me that it was crap and it was rubbish, and I thought, no, it's found footage, it's bound to be good. It's not. Well, not to me anyway. It's got a lot of positive reviews out there because I've read a lot of them, but for me personally, I won't be watching that one again, not ever. Whereas the Blair Witch I've seen recently for probably the third or fourth time and really, really enjoyed it. I've got a glut of them upstairs on DVD that I keep meaning to work my way through. A lot of them to do with sort of UFO abductions, that kind of thing. And I really must get into those, but I'm afraid Dashcam won't be one that I'll be revisiting anytime soon. If I had to give it a score out of 10, I'd give it a 1, but that's purely because it's found footage and I love found footage, but not this one, so no, I won't bother with that. Next one, A Forbidden Orange. This is a documentary narrated by Malcolm McDowell concerning A Clockwork Orange. It is not about the making of it or the actors that are in it. It's about the reception the movie had in Spain. It's a fascinating documentary, really, really good. It's subtitled because obviously a lot of the people that are talking about it are obviously speaking Spanish, so it is subtitled, but it is superb. I didn't know any of what this thing was. This documentary was telling me. It's had a very, very cold reception in Spain due to Franco's regime at the time, who were banning anything that was excessively violent, sexually explicit, and especially religious. So it remained on the ban list for probably 3-4 years before they finally got permission to screen it at a cinema. You need to watch this. It's on, I believe it's on TCM. I think that's where I watched it. But it's a cracking documentary, and it will tell you all sorts of things that you didn't know, including the fact that there was a Spanish movie made called what was it called? Murder in a Blue World, and it is an instant and complete rip-off of Clockwork Orange. Now, I believe it's nowhere near as good, but I've managed to get hold of a copy, so this is another Don't Say I Didn't Warn You, I think. because many people on that documentary were basically telling me don't watch Murder in a Blue World because it isn't a patch on Clockwork Orange. I mean, how could it be? Clockwork Orange is classic. But that's the next one, so that's recommended. It's called A Forbidden Orange, and as I say, it's narrated by Malcolm McDowell himself, so that's worth watching. Next one, Jordan Peele's Nope. I was really, really looking forward to this. I don't quite know what I was expecting going in. I thought what I was going to get is a slightly more adult approach to one of my favourite movies ever, if not my favourite movie ever, Close Encounters. I thought that's what I was going to get. What I actually got was something reminiscent of what Christopher Nolan would probably do. It was a confusing mishmash. It was to do with UFOs, absolutely. A couple run a ranch that was passed down to them by their father, and they raise horses used by film studios in movies. And they basically start noticing UFO activity on the ranch. Now, every review that I've read of this have been fairly positive. I mean, visually the thing is stunning. It's really, really good. But if you're looking for something that's even remotely close to Close Encounters, you're barking up the wrong tree, because you won't get it with Jordan Peele's Nope. It's a very well-made movie. Daniel Ayala, is it, who he's used in his other two movies, Get Out and Us. I saw Get Out and didn't really understand it. Us, I've kind of shied away from because I thought that's going to be pretty much the same. But I have a fascination with UFOs, UFO abduction and all that sort of thing, so I was really, really up for watching Nope. But it just didn't work for me, I'm afraid. As I say, visually brilliant, the script is amazing. I still don't know what a chimpanzee who murdered everybody on the set of a TV program that it was starring in had to do with UFOs, but that was a little thread that run right the way through it, apart from the fact that it involved one of the characters. No, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one word for Jordan Peele's Nope, and that's nope. Well, not for me anyway. So you may think differently. If you do think differently, drop some comments and tell me where I went wrong with it, but it just didn't work for me personally. So this one did, though. Dog. Watch this. This was Pizza and a Movie Night last week. Channing Tatum plays an ex-army guy back from Afghanistan. His friend was killed over there, and his friend had a dog, a military dog that used to sniff out bombs and stuff like that. And Channing Tatum gets the job of transporting this dog to this guy's funeral, cross country, and it basically involves him bonding with this dog. He's not a dog person, and the various little adventures they have along the way. I thought this was a charming film. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a quick 90 minutes. The dog is superb. Channing Tatum, I don't think I've ever seen him in anything. I keep meaning to catch up with the Magic Mike films, and I've heard he's very good in The Lost City, which is a new film. But as for Dog, absolutely brilliant. I can highly recommend it. If you like animal movies, you won't go far wrong with that one. So yeah, recommend Dog wholeheartedly. Right, what have I got? Bin it or keep it. I've got 7 minutes. See if I can get through these. Bin it or keep it. The Boat That Rocked. Now, I saw this years and years ago. Really, really enjoyed it. So I thought I'd give it another go and see whether it's a keeper. It's basically the story, or a fictionalised account of the story of the pirate radio stations that operated from ships out at sea, stuff like Radio Caroline, that kind of thing. I'm happy to say this is a keeper. I loved the humour in this. I thought it was absolutely superb. So this is definitely a keeper. And you've got some stars in this: Philip Seymour Hoffman, Bill Nighy, Reese Fan, Nick Frost, and Kenneth Branagh. So, and it's got a brilliant soundtrack of 60s music, the sort of stuff that they would have played from these radio stations. But if you're fascinated by the story of stuff like Radio Caroline, this is a movie to watch. So I'm not doing very well with the Binnets at the moment. These are all keeps, but that's a definite keep. Put that over there a minute. Here we go. What have I got here next? Books of the week. Scott, the movie critic, Mr. Anders, you are going to love these. I found these on the shelf, and I thought I'd show them off. First one. These are all making of Quadrophenia, basically the legacy of the movie, the making of them, the stars, everything to do with Quadrophenia you could wish. This is the complete guide. It's very, very sort of matter of fact. There's illustrations in there, but not as many as you would think. That basically goes into everything to do with the movie. It's that one. And this one. Inside the making of Britain's greatest youth film, Quadrophenia, A Way of Life. Again, there's not much to say apart from the fact that this one's very well illustrated. Scripts, all sorts in there. Quadrophenia. And finally, this is my favourite. I love this one. The making of Quadrophenia. And this goes into great depth. This is scripts, photographs. I don't even know why I bother doing this flipping through thing, but it doesn't work. But Scott, look me in the eye and tell me you don't want all of these. These are all still available on Amazon because I've had a look. So get yourself over there, mate, and get them ordered because you will not regret it. Right, vinyl of the week. Kenny Everett's Naughty Joke Box. Now, Kenny Everett had a series in the 70s called The Video Cassette, which was quite risque for the time. He had a dance troupe called Hot Gossip that basically prancing about in underwear and rubber gear at 7 o'clock at night just before Corrie. And what he did was he organised a night, I think this was for charity actually, where they got a lot of comedians that were famous family entertainers of the time, and basically got them to do a lot of adult blue jokes in the setting of what would be classed as a working men's club. Now this is the soundtrack to that. The full video of it, I believe, is available on YouTube if you want to take a look at it, but this is basically the soundtrack to it. And the comedians you've got on here, you won't know a lot of these unless you were around in the time. Fogwell Flax, Barry Cryer, John Junkin, Pat Mooney, Lenny Bennett, Willie Rushton, and of course Kenny Everett does a few as well. But that is really, really funny. If you've never heard of that, I mean, I bet the vinyl's looking a bit worn because I have played this one quite a few times. It's actually not looking too bad. But yeah, that's the vinyl of the week. And that's more of a TV soundtrack than a. Oh, there's a single just dropped out of there as well. I've probably been looking for that at some point. John and Vangelis, I Hear You Now. That's from 1979. And that was tucked inside there. So that's obviously been dropped in there at some point. So that's that. What have I got here? Sequelophobia. Oh, where do I even start with this? Back to the Future. I watched the original last night. My only regret is that it has taken me, and I always say this, 35 years or 37 years to catch up with this. What an absolutely magnificent slice of 80s entertainment this is. It doesn't get much better, and I am so looking forward to watching the other two because I've heard the two sequels are as good. So I'm really looking forward to it. I've even earmarked a hardback book on Amazon about the making of and the legacy of Back to the Future. But this was absolutely superb. I do not regret watching this for a second. So Sequelophobia for next week is going to be obviously Back to the Future Part 2. Let's see, what have I bought? Very, very quickly, I should just about make it. 2 Blu-rays. First off, The Big Lebowski. Guy will just love this. I'm afraid it is going to be a bin it or keep it dude because I've not seen it before. But I get the feeling from what you've told me, it's got quite a cult background to it, so this is almost certainly going to be a keeper. But I will let you know when I've actually watched it. And finally, the other guys. Now this one's off Simon DeRose's list, and again I watched the trailer for this and thought the trailer was hysterical. So I thought it won't do any harm to grab a copy of this. I think it only cost about £2 something. So I'm going to be having a look at that. And again, this is going to be a bin it or keep it. There's not much love for this movie actually. I've noticed a lot of negative comments when I mentioned that I was actually going to get hold of it. And I think it's all to do with Will Ferrell, but I should, well, I'll give you my opinion when I've actually watched it. And finally, quickly before I run out of time, quote encounters for this week. Oh God, you're going to get this straight away. Here we go. If my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles an hour, you're going to see some serious shit. I know you're all screaming at the screen now. You know this, don't you? Right, I've literally hit 30 minutes, so I've got to go. Thanks ever so much for joining me, guys, and I will be back again next week. If you've enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. That would be very much appreciated. Take care, folks, and I'll talk to you all again next week. And thanks ever so much for joining me. Ta-da.